Hey guys, and welcome to the PickleBros podcast, where we have middle-class pickleball conversations. We don't fuss about the pros or the newest paddle technology. Instead, we focus on the shared nuances of the game and everyday problems that plague everyday players like you from 3-0 to 5-0. We're about to get into the topics, so go and grab your paddles. It's 002. Greetings to all of you pickleballers out there, and welcome to episode 2 of the PickleBros podcast. A big shout out to our sponsor, us, because without us, this wouldn't be possible. Today promises to be a heck of an episode, plenty of controversy, not just in the pickleball universe, but hopefully between us a little bit. But we have a couple things to run through before we get started. The first thing would be, we have set up an email so you guys can email us topics, pickleball problems, topics of conversation that you want us to bring up on the next podcast. So you can email us at picklebros002@gmail.com. And we can offer up our thoughts on the next podcast for whatever it's worth. We also need to do a DUPR check real quick here. And from my understanding, Tim, this was an eventful DUPR update for you.
It was. So I woke up with a healthy amount of anxiety on Tuesday morning. And I wish that weren't the case, but I guess it is what it is. So there's a little bit of a backstory too. So a bunch of us went to Utah last week to visit my brother and play a bunch of pickleball. And we had a great time. We got to hit with some pros, just had a blast, just hanging out outside of pickleball, actually, in some cases, which never happens. But the last day there, we were playing some rec ball, and my buddy Jared was across the net, and somebody popped it up. It may have been you, Ian. Somebody popped it up.
On me. Okay, I see.
I mean, somebody popped it up, and so I was testing out my new paddle, which I named Carmen Electrum, and I attacked this ball. And it went completely in the wrong place. It went right in Jared's face and smashed his glasses. It was the kind of moment that everybody around stopped, whoa.
He shouldn't have been standing there.
I mean, I agree. He's got to be in a better position for sure. But still, that's no excuse. I was aiming for the ground around him. But, Anyway, this had repercussions into the next week because Jared happens to be my partner in the DUPR League, and he made the playoffs. That playoff game was going to be on Tuesday. So fast forward to Tuesday, we're playing a really good team, world beaters for sure. And Jared shows up, and he's sporting two different looks. One look is with no glasses. The other look is with glasses, but he's actually got blue tape going across one of the frames or one of the lenses, attaching that lens to the frame. So literally like a cross, like a red cross, but it's blue. And
so you can dial in his shot, right?
So
it's a scope.
So Jared opts for the first look, which is no glasses, which I can't blame him, right? But the problem is he's walking around squinting. He's clearly not able to see very well, and the lighting in that place was a little bit dark. Those guys feasted. They targeted him all game long to the tune of 21-3, 21-3. And I'm not repeating the score for emphasis. That was the scores. That was the score of game 1 and then the score of game 2. So
Tim, you might just want to say 42-6.
It sounds like a bad football score. But so yeah, a couple of points here and there. It could have been different, right? But no. So I was terrified because this was gonna just wreak havoc all over my DUPR, right? But I had one match before DUPR Tuesday besides that one, and it was a mixed match. And, it was like a workman-like effort, like a nice win. It wasn't a complete drubbing or beatdown like that one was. It was 21-15 and 21-10. So, yeah, nice win. So I roll over on DUPR Tuesday expecting to be, 4-5 or something, just obliterating my DUPR. But to my surprise, I went up 0.02 of a point, which I don't know how to explain that. I don't know if DUPR has the wherewithal who consider context and
of no glasses,
extenuating circumstances, like my partner was blind. I have no idea, but
by the way, who doesn't have 2 pairs of glasses as a glasses wearer?
Jared.
Yes,
that would be Jared.
Who does that? Isn't that like glasses wearing 101? Like if you have ocular deficiencies, you should have more than one pair of glasses.
Even if it's a crappy, ugly pair, keep an extra pair.
This is our buddy Jared. We love him for his little quirks like this. He shows up with 1 pair of broken glasses.
Oh yeah, how much did you love that last week, Tim? Yeah, you loved it.
I didn't love it, but you know what? I have to give all credit to him for not making excuses at all. Just going out there and battling like a warrior. But hey, we all won it. Well, I don't know if Jared won or if our team won. We did not win, but in terms of DUPR, I mean, I'll take 2/100 of a point.
So go ahead,
going in the right direction.
Just tell us your damn score.
I'm sorry. I'm a 4.69.
Okay.
There it is.
Yeah. Nice. So what are you, man?
I can make this in 3 seconds. I'm a 4.54. I logged six matches last week. So add it to my DUPR.
Well, I'm gonna make it take you 4 seconds because I want to know if you're happy or not with that.
Yeah, hearing Tim whinge about, he thought he was going to drop to a 4.5. First of all, how insulting is that for Ian? I'm sitting here at a 4.44. Are you happy about that? You know what? I am happy about that. But according to Tim, I suck. But out there in listener world, I know how many people would probably give a body part to be in the 4s or 4.5s. So I am really, really happy about that. As it continues to rise, it went up by 3/100ths. I don't know if that makes sense in math world, but that's what I think it went up by. And so I am happy with that, Ian. Yep.
Awesome. Jesse, how about you, man?
Mine went up 2/100ths to 440. I mean, it's fine, but I don't think I'm a half a point below my DUPR men's league partner Jeff, who's now a 4.95. I think we're pretty similar.
You're playing with almost a 5.0, Jesse. Be grateful. That's what DUPR tells you. Be grateful. I'm sitting at a 4.37. That went down 2/100ths of a DUPR point. So the net zero sum game of DUPR was not in my favor. And you guys picked up some DUPR. So I would like to say I'm probably a 1/4 point to a 1/2 point low. And that's how I would like to put myself on a good day. But, I play with my wife. I play with my brother. They are not nearly as addicted as I am. And at this point, it's like I just love playing with them. And so I'm throwing my hands up. And, I plan to be the best sub 4.5 DUPR rated player out there.
Bless your heart, honey. Like, good job. Way to give your time and
actually, my wife was like, when we play this weekend, you're not going to be like, I'm just playing with Rachel in 3-5. I'm just like, no, it's like we are a 3-5 mixed team. There's no doubt. Like, I know how to play some ball, but mixed is a different beast. So, but that's a different topic for another day. Viewers, if you guys would please go ahead and also comment your DUPRs and give us a thumbs up or thumbs down as to whether or not you are happy with it. That would be awesome. So all of that long intro, but I love it, guys. We're going to dive into the topic, and that is the Nasty Nelson. Jesse, I want to pass it on over to you. Please explain what it is and run the clip.
Okay, so it was invented by a player named Timothy Nelson about 7 or 8 years ago. He was a top player at the time. And what it is the server pretends that he's going to do a normal serve cross court to the opponent who's back at the baseline. But instead, he hits the ball as hard as he can to the player directly in front of him at the net. And if you hit that opponent anywhere in the body, then you score a point. And I think I have that. Oh my goodness.
Does pickleball not have the weirdest terms? Like, I was explaining pickleball terms to a non-pickleballer, and Bert, Ernie, Nasty Nelson, the word pickleball. There's just so much. We got a clip.
Yeah, you guys ready? Yeah, so this was Ian's birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go.
Take that. Take
Oh
that.
my gosh! And
So
Ian
that-
deserves every one of these.
That
by the
was
way.
my twin brother who hit me when we turned 31. And Tim and Stolp, can you please add how you got included in that as well?
Well, time out. For our audio listeners there, what you missed is a screaming 80-mile-an-hour serve that went directly into Ian's back from his twin brother on his
I did roll
31st
in
birthday.
time. I got
You
the
did
roll.
However, that clip showed Nasty Nelson 3 of 3. So we got Ian 3 times that day. I kicked us off with a nice little shoulder graze on the left side of the court where he was not too pleased with it. May have said a choice word after being hit. So then he proceeds to duck under the net where Tim so skillfully put a nice little drop serve. He was not safe behind the net, and it did graze his other shoulder. We thought it missed, but he did own up to it. Good on you, Ian. That was number 2. And then Zane capped off his birthday experience with a 90-mile-an-hour screamer into his back.
I loved every second of it. I find it hilarious, but there are a lot of people who just don't like this thing. You know, I know some of us, we've got different takes on it, but I grew up a wrestler, you know. Violence is funny. We're always beating each other up in our family. I had a twin brother to wrestle with. My dad wrestled. He was a wrestling coach. So to me, it's like, it's a little wiffle ball. You should be focused on the game. If you get hit, that's on you, right? Like, and if you don't know the rules, guess what? That's also on you. Because I was also a high-level wrestling referee with USA Wrestling for 10 years. And I knew that rule book inside and out. And you've got Olympic-level coaches yelling at you. It's like, know the rules. Know the game you're playing. Be a little bit tougher, but people don't like this thing. So this is some entertaining stories. Viewers, go grab your popcorn because I hope, this will be fun here. So the Nasty Nelson, not a lot of people know what it is. My family, we love to do it. Just as our group has adopted it, it's a pride of honor to hit each other. We would keep track of it on our own little personal PickleBros spreadsheet that we've got. right. Well, I'm not the one running it. That's Louie. All right. But my dad was playing with this individual, and we shall in anonymity shall reign. So if I accidentally slip up here, Jesse, you're gonna have to like bleep it out later. My dad was playing with this individual, and there was some smack talk and having some fun, and I think that's all well within part of the game. And so he goes for a nasty and tries to hit this person, and he misses. Unfortunately, he confirmed with me he missed, but this individual threw the paddle down, started cursing, got really mad, and then came around the side of the net and just boom, punches my dad right in the chest. And he wasn't sure if it was a joke or if it was, well, I suppose you should say it was a female, because if a guy punched another guy, like, it's on, right? So there was a reason there was no response, because a female punched a male. My dad's like, I'm almost 60. I'm not going to get in a street fight over pickleball. So he wasn't sure. She apologized. She said she was joking, and he kind of let it slide. Well, a couple weeks later, I don't know any of this has happened, but my brother ends up playing with this same lady in some morning ball. And again, she's talking trash. They're having fun. And I love that. I don't know. Maybe we'll bring it up in the conversations here. I love the trash talk, but it's getting a little chippy. And the score was 10-5-1. My brother was serving, my twin brother. So, that's a pretty handy lead. You still got a serve coming up behind you on the 2. Why not go for it? And they're talking trash, right? So you're having some fun. So he whips that thing out, misses it just by a hair. Same response from this person. Throws the paddle down, starts throwing up some symbols and some curse words. And my brother, he's like, it was just, we were talking trash. Like, you were kind of daring me to come at you. And then she doesn't stop. She walks around, pointing, language. And then she goes up to hit him. And he's like, he goes up and blocks it. And he blocks the first one. And he's like, okay, I remember this story now. My dad told me this person did this. So he's reliving a story he's already heard. And so he's like, okay, I'm just going to block it and be done. And then the second swing comes in. So he blocks that one and then full on retreats. He's like, I am not fighting this lady over Nasty Nelson. And he's like, calm down, calm down. And then, she's like, you're Bush League. That's not how the game is played, all this kind of stuff. So she ends up going back around. And Zane's partner, he didn't know him, but some of us do know him, turned to him and go, why can't you just play the game the right way? And Zane just stops the game. He's like, hold on, all of you right now. Did I do anything wrong? I need to know what your take is on this. And so they have on-court debate. The other part of that same morning group is now involved, listening. Yes, it's part of the rules, but you shouldn't do it this early in the morning, but it's not okay. And the dialogue just ensues. And Zane ends up just being like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna tap out of this. And so when I heard the story, I was absolutely shocked because I had not known that both of them experienced the same thing from the same person. So I inserted myself in the equation, and then I was given a harsh back off from my brother and my father. Excuse me. Apologies have been accepted. Apologies have been issued and accepted. Both of them are completely fine. For some reason, I am not, and I'm the only one completely not involved. I guess it's just, that family loyalty. But people really don't like this thing. And to continue, Tim, when we went to, we went to Utah to play with Chuck Taylor, Shelton John Baptiste, so 6.23, 6.05, and then Scott Johnston, who's got a sub 5.0 DUPR rating, but he goes to senior pro events and medals.
He just won the 5.0 event at the
in Atlanta.
Yeah,
he just won the gold in Atlanta at the seniors. So I don't know how he's a sub 5, but that doesn't matter. Like ballers, right? So we went out there, and I made the joke. I'd be like, man, wouldn't it be funny to Nasty Nelson Chuck Taylor? And we're playing a game, and Chuck hadn't quite showed up, and Scott just stops us. He's like, if you guys do this, he will walk away. And I'm like, hold on. I thought it was a joke. I thought this was funny. Why is it, and he goes on to explain, people have been hurt by it. I couldn't confirm, but there's a story about a lawsuit. Someone went blind over it. Scott said he witnessed the Polynesians love pickleball in Utah. In a 5-0 bracket, a dude, he was playing, and there's called ball on court. So he turned to look, and a ball hits him right in the cheek. And so, boom, paddle gets thrown down, goes across, breaks the dude's nose, who nastied him. And so it's like, it's not funny to some people, and the pros don't find it. And I'm glad that Scott let me know not to nasty Chuck, because I would not have wanted to damage control that situation. But anyway, so what's your take on dude?
Two different dynamic stories there, right? Like you're hearing of a story of your family and how that personally impacted you, and then you're learning from peers, someone that you look up to, about their viewpoint on it. My personal viewpoint on it is, if it happens in our circles, or even if someone tries it that I don't know, like, I kind of tip my hat to them, like, good on you. That's a risky play. And if you hit me, bad on me. That's my fault. I should be paying attention. I should have the wherewithal and athleticism to get out of the way. And if I don't, I actually you earn a little respect in my book.
Yeah.
That being said, there are situations where I'll try it, like I said, against this group, but with others, or in a tournament, or in mixed, or in situations that are relatively new to me, with my opponents, I'm not going to try it. And I think some of the going after a female, for me personally, is just something I wouldn't do. And so that individual getting upset, and whether it was in good fun or not, if it was me serving, I wouldn't have done it in the first place. So that's that. And then hearing the pros talk about it, it's like, oh, it's beneath me. That's kind of what I heard you say with that story. It's like, oh, I'm way better than that. And if you do that, it's Bush League, and you're not a great player for even trying. Now, that's something I disagree with. Like, if I can get you with something that you're not expecting, I think that's the the sport of pickleball is I'm trying to outthink and outsmart my opponents. And if you're distracted looking at a squirrel outside of the court, I'm going to try and take advantage of that. Now, again, if I'm playing high level, every point matters, every serve matters, every side out matters. That's a decision I have to make. And if I miss,
It becomes strategic at that point.
it's going to impact my partner, and it's going to impact them to take advantage of that. So I probably, again, wouldn't do it. But I've been hit by you, Ian. I've been hit by Tim. I don't, Jesse, maybe you tried to nasty me. We've all tried it against each other. Yeah, I've been hit, and it's, I mean, it's fun. It's a little embarrassing, but I'm not offended by it whatsoever. But I do have different viewpoints on it based off of the situation.
Yeah. So yeah, you laid it out beautifully, Stolp. I think the main point is we talk about it all the time, so it's always in there somewhere in our subconscious. Like we're always talking. I don't know why we give so much time to Nasty Nelsons, but we talk about it a lot because it's so fascinating. It's just a fun shot, and I would only try it probably around us. I don't know if I would try it with strangers, but I would only do it even with us, even in a match that's not going to go on the spreadsheet that we've talked about a lot. I'm only going to do it if I'm up like 6 or 7 points, because I know it's a risk. I know that, first of all, you have to be accurate with it, which is easier said than done. You're trying to catch someone off guard. So you have to like be careful not to hit that shot like 6 feet wide. You just have to be strategic. You have to do it when it's not going to hurt you if you miss, because that's a wasted point. Let's face it. But
we were playing one time. Can you let everyone know when you got pretty frustrated at me for trying that? We made that big comeback. Remember?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. All right. So yeah, it was a game to 21, and it was in the late stages of this game. And
18-18.
Yeah.
It was 18-18?
Yeah, it was against us.
Oh, gee. Oh, okay. So Stolp remembers too. Good. All right. So it was 18-18. Game was in the balance. Here are the critical points. This is when Ian decides to try a nasty Nelson.
And we'd come back from like 10 deep. Like we were way behind.
Right. So I was done letting you guys get back into this game. Like, I was ready to seal this thing off. And
we were on our heels. Like we had the momentum early, you had it late, and we were on our heels.
Yeah, and that's when Ian tries this nasty Nelson. And you know what? There's some genius to this, because I would not have expected anyone to try it in that moment. And it worked. Then again, there was a time that Ian was my partner, and he tried it in a very critical situation, and he missed. And then we had to give the serve over, and we lost. And I blamed him like the rest of the day. So,
and I accepted it. I totally I deflated you so much. You weren't ready for me to hit that thing.
You missed and we won. That's how that old story ends. Make sure that everyone heard that.
Yes, that's what happened. Anyways, yep, that's my nasty Nelson.
Jump in here.
Yeah, it's a high risk shot. We do have some success with it in rec play indoors where there's no wind. I know I've gotten you a few times, Ian, which is really, it's always a special joy to hit Ian.
I started it.
It is.
But we sort of were enthusiastic about it for a while because it was working pretty well. So I went down to Arizona and I decided to try it at a tournament. I tried it 3 times. I went 0 for 3. People were paying attention. It's different when it's outdoors. There's wind. I'm more nervous. And I think I'm pretty much retiring the shot in serious play. Not that I don't think there's anything unsportsmanship about it. It's just a hard shot.
Yeah. Actually, it is funny. So I didn't start no nasty Nelsons. But within my own personal ecosystem, my family thought it was funny. We made it up. We realized it was legal, and then I kind of brought it over to the group with some enthusiasm. So I'm like, I'm the guy preaching nasty Nelsons. You should do this. Do you know what this is? I too am retiring the nasty Nelson because it, as Stolp sort of mentioned, it's not the most strategic shot depending on the game you're playing. I have never tried it to hit a female, even though when I was growing up wrestling, it was respect everyone. If they stepped on the mat, you gave them your best. So if a female's going to step on the court, I'm going to give her my best. But at the same time, I don't think I can bring myself to do it. And just with the problems it causes, like, is it worth the joke? I have hit someone in a tournament. Our friend Scott, who lives here in town, and I was playing with your wife, Jesse, because you got sick. So you asked me to step in last minute, and when I chose to do it, I wasn't really thinking. Just we were making a comeback, and I whipped it out almost automatically, and it hit him, and he gritted his teeth, and he turned around, and he didn't say anything. And later on, he was like, "That was a smart shot. I wasn't ready for it." But he and I are super, we've got that relationship. Strategically doing against a stranger, it causes problems. It gets people angry. Is it worth the joke? Is it worth the single point? At this point, maybe I'll keep it with you guys, on your birthdays and try and whip them out. But for the most part, I think I'm done with it. And I don't see the net positive on it.
I want to share a couple personal inside secrets about the Nasty Nelson. It changes, at least for me, how you approach your serve. So for instance, I'm a drop server, so I let it bounce, and then I'll position the ball at different parts of the court based off of my opponent's positioning. With the Nasty Nelson, I can't do that. I have to hit it quick from my hip. I mean, I guess I could drill that. So it changes the dynamic. You telegraph it. So that's one thing. And then another about Master Sensei Jesse, if you play with him against you, Ian, this is behind the curtain. He's like, I'm gonna fake like I'm not paying attention, and I'm gonna induce Ian to try. I'm gonna induce Ian to try a Nasty Nelson.
It's worked.
And get out of the way.
He's made me hit so bad before because he was ready, pretending not to.
So then I watched Jesse win this Academy Award by just trying to freaking act. And so he's like looking around or like pretending to oh, what's going on around here, and then trying to induce you. That's probably my favorite part of the Nasty Nelson is watching some of our group and the little nuances we do pre and post shot to try to induce and or what happens when someone gets hit. There's no better feeling also when someone like Ian gets whacked in the back and he drops his paddle and he walks to 3 courts away, and we're just sitting there laughing until he returns. So that's really the benefit of doing it inside of your inner circle.
I love it, guys. All right. And viewers, again, we've got that email, picklebros002@gmail.com. Please let us know if you have any entertaining Nasty Nelson stories and if you have either swung or been swung on. But we're going to move on to the next bro code of ethics. Jesse, can you please talk about lobbing?
Lobbing. So, sure. Yeah. I used to think lobbing was something that only 3.0 players did. I looked down on it. And then I played in a number of tournaments in Arizona last fall. And those guys really knew how to lob. And they had me running all over the court. And they used the sun to their advantage. So they would lob when I was looking at the sun. And I came to appreciate it. And, there's some people who think it's unsportsmanlike to lob excessively or to lob into the sun or to lob against somebody with a knee brace. All these guys had knee braces, okay? I mean, a lot of them were older, and if they're going to do it against me, I'm sure as heck going to do it against them.
Jesse. You're not a senior citizen. You don't have knee braces.
not yet. But I'm pro lob. I see nothing unsportsmanship. There's no, I have no ill will towards it at all. If it works, do it.
What do you think, Tim? Got a different take?
I typically don't. I'm gonna sound like a snob. I typically don't share the court with people who wear knee braces, so it's not really an ethical concern that comes up too often. I will say I lob probably more than anybody here. I would say.
Not Jesse. I think Jesse does.
Okay,
yeah. You're up there.
Yeah.
I rarely do it.
I just do it because. Yeah, I do it because a lot of times I'll do it from the kitchen. If we're in a dink battle, I'll mix it up and do a quick lob shot, which is pretty decently consistent. I'd say I get them in about 60% of the time or something.
Agree. Mm-hmm.
But I just like doing it to just mix it up and kind of just satisfy my own creativity.
You get bored with the drives and drops?
Exactly. You just want to try something new. But I think it's perfectly acceptable for the game. And I think if you're on the court, you are subject to whatever kind of shot that guy decides to hit, whether it's a lob or or a drive or whatever. So yeah, you have to be ready for it. It's part of the game. It's like the Nasty Nelson, but even more so. It's more part of the game.
Yeah.
Nelson is.
Here's my take. There's a saying in baseball: if you don't like it, play better. If you're sitting on the bench, play better so you're on the field. So my thought with lobs, if you don't like it, learn to play better is as bluntly as I can put it. And then personally, I'm 6'3", 6'4". My wingspan is probably 6'7".
10 feet long.
Yeah, I have probably 4 or 5 inches on my wingspan compared to my height. So it is a personal request that I have against anyone I play against. I dare you to lob. I love lobs.
Me
and
too.
I think I've been successfully lobbed a handful of times. Now, not zero, because Tim, like you said, dinking and then lobs don't have to be high, like super high. They just have to be high enough
to get past you.
You and deep to where I can't sprint back and get it. And so there's some effective uses to that. I will say yesterday, I probably played against one of the top lobbers in Colorado Springs. And let's see, shaking head. Steve, we know Steve.
Yeah,
he is a very, very effective lobber.
Pro racquetball.
Yep. Had a pro racquetball background. And he lobbed with a success rate, self-identified success rate of like 4.5% yesterday. And we were on the court with, high 4s, low 5 players. And he tried 5, 6, 7 times. And we were just, eating that stuff, could not wait. And like, so much so that we were trying to induce it by body fakes and trying to get ourselves fake out of position to induce a lob. And we would just feast on those overheads, Louie and I. So for me personally, I dare you to lob, but second of all, if you're using the sun to your advantage and stuff like that with people with knee braces, guess what? You're on that same court. You have that same chance. You're going to switch sides. Why don't you do it right back to them? And if you can't do it, learn to do it.
Yeah. So I did not expect to be the one to take the curmudgeon position on this.
That's usually me.
Yeah, I know, right? And I do want to clarify, if the 4 of us are on a court and I can get 11 net cords in a row, I will take that and not apologize, right? Like when you're playing beasts, you're not going to so I do understand there's a quantifier to what I'm about to say, but it's like when I'm lobbing lower level players or people with mobility issues, maybe a little bit older, maybe they've got knee braces, injuries, whatever it is, I just don't do it. And maybe my cop out is I'm not great at it, but I don't like it as a play. I've seen people who, when you know that is a vulnerability that your opponents have, they just kind of exploit it. And I'm just like, yeah, I get it's part of the game, but that's not a real look. And it's one dimensional. Like they can beat you in the drive, the drop, the dink, but you're going to make them run backwards all the way to the back. Like I don't think it's like Bush League level, but at some point, I just think it's bad optics. And this is coming from the guy who's doing nothing but preaching nasty Nelsons, and that's one of the main arguments. Like, it's bad optics. I just don't like it. It seems to exploit an immutable thing about someone. Say they can't run backwards, or they're still learning the game. They're like, I didn't even know that was a shot. So, I don't know if I strongly disagree on that, but I was not expecting to be the guy who was, disfavored toward it.
I think there's an important point here, though, for our viewers. And Tim alluded to this. We usually don't play with random people who are, in their 60s or 70s and wear a knee brace. We don't. The 4 of us typically play on private courts at Lifetime with our own groups that we set up. So everybody is highly mobile and able to handle lobs. Occasionally I'll go to the public courts and paddle up. And if I find myself against a 3-0 or, an older person, obviously I'm not going to lob over that person constantly. I mean, that just goes without saying. So I think it's important to point out the context.
That is an important difference there as well. Viewers, I know that people are going to have different opinions on it, love it, hate the strategy or whatnot, but you should at least know about it, unlike the Nasty Nelson, where that can still be a mystery. All right. I have been waiting for this rant for a week. So, Tim, can you please talk about, you are the old tennis curmudgeon. Now I'm going to definitely call you curmudgeon. Music, talking near the courts. I've been waiting for this.
Okay. So I've already lost control of the culture. I got here too late. And and people were already ensuring that they have their Bluetooth speakers courtside. And look, it is what it is. I don't complain when I see it or hear it. I mean, I do to my best buddies. I for sure let them know what I'm thinking. But all right, it just occurs to me that what people really want to do is go to a picnic. They want to fly kites, you know, eat egg salad sandwiches, listen to music. But since that stuff is just too hard to organize, they just bring all that stuff to the pickleball court. and it's like, I just feel like saying, dude, some of us are trying to get better, and I can't concentrate with all that noise. And not to mention, like, I'm just sick of music. All right. I mean, that part of me is absolutely the curmudgeon. I get sick of, and this is a whole separate topic that has nothing to do with pickleball. I get sick of seeing people with earbuds in wherever they go. You can't have a conversation. You can't do anything in this society without music. And it's just like, not to mention, I've heard every single song that's out there over 100 times. So it's like, oh, great. Here's Def Leppard again. That's great. Yeah, let's play to Def Leppard or AC/DC. And like, yeah, I come from tennis. I try to shed a lot of the cultural things from tennis, but I guess this just isn't one of them. I need to concentrate out there. I'm trying to think, trying to problem solve. And like a very good example of this was we were playing in our singles tournament in the DUPR league, and it was a semi. I was playing against the guy that got red hot that day, so I was trying to figure him out. And Ian had just lost to Louis, and they were off having a conversation, and I kept on shooting them these dirty looks, like, stop talking. And especially like in singles, I think that's more like tennis than anything else, because it's pretty much exactly tennis. So I feel like, and a non-tennis player would not understand this distinction. But for me, I'd be like, no, this is tennis. The rules are different. I know we're using the pickleball and pickleball paddles, but this is basically tennis. So the tennis rules apply here. You don't make a sound when you're playing singles. Like, I'm trying to keep things internalized and calm and try to problem solve this guy. So I don't want to hear about your little paddle technology talk over there, or whatever you're talking about. So I kept on shooting them looks, and I don't hold Ian responsible. I hold Louis responsible, because Louis comes from the tennis world. But
I knew you were mad. I just was like, toughen up.
You didn't care.
Yeah,
that's
can't hear Louis.
Louis
because he sounds like a librarian. He's just whisper mode all the time. So it's always Ian that you hear.
You know how many
exactly.
times Lifetime has told me I need to be quiet, and I simply refuse?
Well, see, most of the time I'm sympathetic to that. I don't want to be quiet in pickleball, but I swear singles is different. But as far as the music thing, like I said, I already lost. I'm not even trying to fight that battle. And I deal with it. My mixed doubles partner always likes to bring music to our matches. And hey, I just said, we won that mixed doubles match last week, and it saved my DUPR rating. So there was music playing. It's fine. And if I'm being completely honest, we played yesterday, and Lifetime is a little bit empty these mornings, as it warms up, and it was kind of quiet and kind of eerie. And I was like, hey, did anybody bring music? So I'm totally a hypocrite. Totally a hypocrite.
Definition of hypocrite. And all I have to say to this, my name's Tim. Boo-hoo. I don't like to have any fun. And the music hurts my ears. And I've heard it since I was born. Like, dude, save it, bro. Like, no one's got time to hear your rant about no one liking music. Like, This
Dude, you
is
play ball in front of 15,000 people. If that's not a distraction.
well, you lost me, Tim, when you said you bring egg salad sandwiches to picnics. Like that's your definition of a good time. Like you're the problem, man. Listen, if you get distracted from music or little whispers in the background, like you're Tiger Woods on frickin' Augusta, like you are soft. You are mentally soft and not able to handle some of the stuff around you. You got to tune that out and focus in on the point at hand. You know what? You have a bad shot. The shot before, you got to forget about that and make the adjustment and move forward. You're not thinking about Cyndi Lauper's freaking title and whenever that came out and how it's playing on the radio again. No, I'm trying to figure out at that moment in time what to do. And the things going on around me, I am completely zoning those things out and focusing on the task at hand.
So you're in favor of adding distractions so that you can figure out how to play amidst those distractions.
Well, I would be a 6.0 player. If people like you get rattled by little things like that, I would totally lock in and I would not be conscious of the things going on around me. Yes.
Sensei.
Okay.
Serve it in here.
Yeah. Stolp is absolutely right. You've got to tune that stuff out. If you guys have ever played at PPA, you know those tournaments. They have loud music with a DJ with an extremely annoying voice.
So disrespectful.
It's so loud. I played in a tournament in Naples, Florida, earlier this year, and they had a loudspeaker, and they would announce like medal rankings or there's a gold medal match, but you couldn't understand anything that was coming out over the loudspeaker. It was kind of like, and you just play. You tune that stuff out.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I have called Tim soft, and he knows it, and he still holds by his position, which is fine. But one of my favorite wrestlers, Kyle Dake, multiple world Olympic medalist, he lost, I believe, in the quarterfinals of the most recent Olympics, and he was a big favorite to go all the way. And he lost pretty early. I think he ended up coming back and taking the bronze. But in the post-match interviews, he was getting asked, like, what happened here? Was your weight cut? Are you sick? And all this. And he's dodging questions, and he's dodging them, and finally just goes, guys, stop. Yeah, I was sick. Yeah, my weight cut was hard. But if you can't win in imperfect circumstances, then you're not good enough, and you have to get better. And that has really just stuck with me, that anytime like a ball rolls, like if I'm playing, the ball rolls on the far side of the court and it makes me miss a knife fight, I'm like, gotta be better. And I just keep telling myself that. So I'm going to make sure that I have a boombox with me every time we play from now on, Tim, and just, distract you. So I can
Tim,
it off.
Yeah, Tim, it doesn't even matter. You've beat us by majority more than we've beat you. So it clearly doesn't matter. Like your nerd spreadsheet shows.
Dude, it could be so much better though. It could be so much better. If you guys would just leave the music at home, I would never lose.
Oh my gosh. All right. Yeah, so that's some curmudgeon-y takes, some soft takes, but as Tim pointed out, pickleball and music, that battle has been not hard fought, but quickly lost. So if you're going to a pro event, it will be there. We're pushing some good time here. So Jesse, I want to turn it on over to you to talk about perhaps the most controversial thing in all of pickleball, no matter whether you have integrity or don't have integrity, you're blind or you're not, there's shadows on the court from the fence and the sun, doesn't matter. Toughest, most ethical version of pickleball, line calls.
Yeah, line calls are important, and the PickleBro Code of Ethics says you make fair line calls. And props to all of you. I think you guys are exemplary in your line calls. In fact, I did a statistical analysis that I'd like to share with the group. I made this sophisticated drawing. For those of you watching the video, you can see that the quality of the line call is positively correlated with the skill level of the players. At least that's been my experience. So at the 4-5 and 5-0
That is
level,
technical.
yeah, you can see that the quality of the line calls is quite high. In fact, people will not only make fair calls, they'll bend over backwards 9 times out of 10 to be fair to their opponents. But at the 3-0 and 3-5 level, yeah,
No
you
mercy.
see some pretty sketchy stuff for sure.
I love that. I've never even seen that. It's so great, dude.
It's hilarious.
So line calls. Do you hedge more in or more out? How do you make them?
First of all, no one's perfect. No, what is it? Nobody's perfect in line calls, and myself included. And there's been times where I've called balls in and they were out and in. And really, where the responsibility comes down to when it's your call, you have your partner's back. I think that you have to, unless it's blatantly obvious, then you can say hey, no, I saw it in, and then overturn it. I think we are all trying to do our best. I take the mentality of we're trying to do our best out here. No one's trying to manipulate the game, and the integrity of this of the game is there. And so I'm going to believe what anyone says, even if my opponents are being sketchy or not. Like, I'm not going to lower my integrity to make to play into somebody else's game. I'm going to play the game the right way every time. And Jesse's dangerously accurate graph is very, very well represented.
Right, that masterpiece.
Yeah, exactly. So I make mistakes. We all make mistakes. I typically get my partners back and here's my one thing is it's the people who are on the side that the ball is in or out on, it's their call. Like, you don't have business making that call from over there, even if you see it one way or another. That's my personal take. It's our call. It's your call. And if I see a ball in that you call out, I'm not going to argue it. I will never argue it. That is your call. And let's move on.
Yeah. And I think it's important to note the rule book is very clear about this. Jesse, can you real quick, before I keep going, I don't want to say it wrong. The rule book is very clear about how to make out calls, right?
Yeah, you're supposed to make them promptly. I don't remember the exact language. You're supposed to make it promptly. And if there's any doubt, you're supposed to give the benefit of the doubt to your opponent.
Yeah. And then if you ask the referee or them what they thought, you're essentially passing over the authority to make the call. So
that's right.
Don't argue at that point. So
that's right. You have the right to say to your opponent or to the ref, what did you think? And then it's up to them. It's in their hands. And I do that. I do that from time to time because I'm not sure.
Yeah. And the point, so for line calls for me, I always try to make an accurate line call. And I will be the first one to say, sometimes I get it wrong, but I'm always trying to make the best one. I do try to hedge and be respectful. Like, if it's kind of close, I want to play it. One, because I just don't want the rally to end. But it's kind of a bummer way to. I've won games on like controversial line calls, and I don't really like it. So I've got 2 revenge call stories actually to tell. The first one was with my buddy Jared when we were still coming up before I knew any of you. He and I have been friends from college 10 years ago. This is the one that Tim broke his glasses, and we were playing indoors at a high school indoor tournament, crappy ball, bad lighting, a million lines on the basketball court. And we had made it to the 3-5 gold medal match, and we were playing these 2 guys. And at the time it was a battle. Because we were genuine 3-5s, we were young and athletic, but we were still learning the game. And it was, I can't remember the scores. This was over 2 years ago, but it was we were 9-9, 10-10, real close to the end. And I made a controversial line call, but it's blue tape with an orange ball on a basketball court. I was being completely genuine. I thought it was out, but I recognize why my opponents were unhappy with it. And they throw a big stink. And at the time, I'm immature in my pickleball understanding. I'm like, it's my call. Be quiet. It's my call. You can't say anything. And it really irked them. And we don't have referees, right? And so maybe the point next or 2 points later, they hit. I do a roll and they hit a ball, and I call out before it's even descending. Right? I just yell out. So Jared backs off. It lands, for sure out. Like, this one wasn't close. I mean, it was close to the line, but it wasn't a controversial call. And they get so angry. They're like, you can't call an out ball before it's landed. And I'm like, I was telling my partner to leave the ball alone. And they're like, you can't say anything. It's a distraction. I'm like, I can partner communicate, right? So it had this really ugly connotation. And I didn't understand why the second one was a problem. But it just we finished that match. We won the first one. And then they refused to play the next leg because it was best out of 3. They're like, you guys have no integrity. We're not playing with you. We're done. You can take the gold. It's not that big a deal to us. And we were like, just really caught off guard. Like, we knew we weren't friends with these guys, but we knew who they were. And it was just, it was my first experience of out calls getting very ugly. And then the second one was much more recently. I was playing with Jesse's wife, Michelle, and I won't say names, but again, we're in an indoor gymnasium with taped lines, those crappy setup courts, really bad lighting. This lighting was even worse than the first where I was telling you. And you just do your best. And I made an out call on a lob on the back end while we were running backwards. And the player was very unhappy with the line call. And I was like, first of all, you're all the way over there. And it happened on my back end. So I don't want to hear you saying anything. First of all, I made the best call I could. You're far away from it, so you shouldn't complain. And get the ball in closer, right? And so this individual was very by the way, I want to caveat, I love this person. They've come to me and apologized. We are 100% cool. But I'm just, in the moment, it was hot. And so we pushed through. I'm like, it's my call. We're done. And so again, I think it was maybe the next point or a point later, I dink. This person was on the right side. I was on the right side. And I dink across court. And the ball was foreshore in. And it was one of those unfortunate where the bleachers, like there's 10 people sitting there. So everyone got to see. And a blatant revenge call was made on me. I'm not saying the ball wasn't on the line and inside the court. Like it was touching the line, but it was on the inside of the court half, not the outside of the court half. And it was made in direct defiance of the call I had priorly made. And I'm sitting there and I just started laughing because I was like, I have no recourse. This person is making the same call I just did. And I can't say anything because anything I just said can be said against me, with the exception, we all know this person had made a revenge call. And again, they've apologized. We're completely fine. But this is the importance of out calls and line calls and how you handle them. Do you hedge in? Do you hedge out? Revenge calls, I think, are probably the worst part of pickleball.
Yeah, so I'll just jump in. I've never actually been victim to a revenge call. That would absolutely suck. But I've actually never even I've never considered that anyone that I was playing was making line calls egregiously or dishonestly. Like I don't think I've ever even experienced that. I usually give my opponents the benefit of the doubt. It just is what it is. Not every call is going to be perfect. I'm not going to make perfect calls. They aren't going to make perfect calls. I never feel like it's intentional though. What good is it to assume that someone is being that vindictive, But I will say this, when it comes to line calls, my biggest pet peeve is when someone says, "Are you sure?"
On a line call.
Has that argument ever worked?
No.
And here's the thing. No, I'm not sure. I don't have shot spot technology, but I'm sure I made the call. I'm sure I called it out. We were all there when that happened.
To say there is, if they say, "Are you sure?" I'd be like, as much as I can be.
That's what you said the other day. I played with you, and that was it. And I was like, dang, that is a really educated response in that moment. Like, good on you.
True. Yeah. Am I 100% certain? I am not. Yeah. Am I sure? Well,
we don't have a time machine. We can't go back and look at it. But what we do know is everyone heard whoever called it out, call it out. That's what stands. That's the bottom line.
Well, speaking of outballs, we are out of time. We've pushed this one longer than we expected, but I love it. Viewers, I hope that this was awesome for you. I just want to share real quick, guys. We have a fan base. This is from my daughter.
That's great.
Awesome.
She wanted to apologize to you, Stolp, because she gave you a beard.
She should know I can't grow beards. I mean, that's not something I can do.
Anyway, guys, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the PickleBros podcast. We're honestly so grateful for your time and for all of you. Please like the video. Leave any comments on any of the discussions we've had. Go ahead and email us at picklebros002@gmail.com. And we'll do our best to get into the topics that you guys most care about. You can follow us on Twitter and Facebook, which is both PickleBros002. And then we're on YouTube, Spotify. We're still working on Apple, a couple other obscure podcasting stuff that I didn't even know existed, but we're getting out there, guys. So if we're not on your favorite podcasting platform, we will be very soon. So go subscribe to us, follow us. We appreciate you all. We love you all. Be safe and stay out of the kitchen.